What's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ Talk Sports. We're back at it again live with another Best Ball Mania 7 draft, coming at you guys all today from the 112, the 1-2 turn, and the draft already kicked off. We went ahead and took James Cook and Brock Bowers at the 1-2 turn, guys, and today we are going to be operating from Zeroth Principles thinking. Zeroth Principles thinking, guys, is essentially believing that nothing is impossible and that for transformative reality shifting insights to emerge, one has to operate from a zeroth principle thinking perspective, which is what Einstein did, which is what all the great discovery Nikola Tesla did. And they essentially stripped away everything and questioned the existence of the problem in the game itself. And essentially, we are shifting our cognitive architectural thought process to play from an alternative dimension, essentially, guys. And so today in this draft, we're going to be drafting from an alternative dimension in this Best Ball Mania 7 draft. And we're just going to be in harmonious play with the environment and be present in the process and allow the prophecy to come to light. And just thinking about BBM 7, guys, from a zeroth principle perspective, nothing matters in terms of there are no rules, there are no roster construction constraints. There is nothing determining our draft picks other than viewing the game from that alternative dimension, which is how we're playing, how we're thinking right now. And going James Cook and Brock Bowers to me is a beautiful start in playing this game from that alternative dimension. Brock Bowers to me is the skeleton key for this bounded game of Best Ball Mania 7 and allows us just unparalleled points in production, guys. But we're on the clock here, and I'm going to go ahead and take two players who I do believe allow us this ability with Loveland and Luther Burden at the 3-4 turn here. And so thinking about this game and thinking from a different dimension, I'm viewing Best Ball Mania 7 to be swept, the podium being swept through creating and inventing essentially an entirely new building block and really discovering something that doesn't even exist. And so to me, the knowledge that's coming through me, guys, is that tight end is the most underrated, under-discussed positional advantage in this tournament, in this game, in this draft, in this environment. And I look at where the NFL is shifting to this 12 and 13 heavy personnel sets, and I look at the death of the slot receiver. I look at the reduction of the importance of the team's wide receiver 2, and I look at the NFL shifting towards this meta where you can play 12 and 13 personnel and you have a running back in the backfield who doesn't tip off if you're throwing or running the ball. And so to be able to draft, we want to look at the players that are available here and think about what their true ceiling is and their ability is from the mental architectural building. The new discovery that we're thinking about here is essentially that tight ends are the new wide receivers. And given that, starting one quarterback, two running backs, three receivers, two tight ends, because you can go tight end and flex, to me, that opens up the possibilities of allowing, only starting one quarterback means quarterback is the least valuable position in this game. And so we can just fade quarterback completely unless we get a really nice price or unless we have really, really strong correlation. We also can look at running back and say, we only want to take running backs who fit that mold of how offenses are evolving, and that they can be deployed on the field in 100 percentile snap shares, because they don't tip off if they're going to be running the ball or throwing the ball. And James Cook epitomizes that, as he is an elite rusher and a very, very elite receiver, and one of the most underrated running backs in the National Football League, because he does play with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And we look at just how that is shifting, and we're just thinking about that through that mental architecture of viewing and thinking from a different dimension. And so as we come up on the clock here at pick 60, we're going to continue that mindset from that mental architecture of operating from a literal different dimension in Best Ball Mania 7 here. And so on this team, we're going to go ahead and look at who to select here. And to me, it looks like Tyler Warren adds to this team, with our belief in the tight end position. And then we want a receiver who's going to be on the field at all times and who's super explosive. And to me, that is Brian Thomas Jr., a player that I have tremendous faith in, and also Rome Odunze, a player I have tremendous faith in. And with the correlation on this team, we're going to go ahead and select Rome Odunze here at pick 61 and continue to operate from this perspective of this different dimension, which we have done here so far. And thinking about how tight ends are the new elite wide receiver ones in the NFL. Just thinking about that, to me, tells me that they are the best picks anytime you have an opportunity to draft an elite tight end. And I look at Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren as truly elite ascending tight ends, having, two of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen in the National Football League last year, and only trailing the greatest rookie season we've ever seen at the tight end position, which is Brock Bowers, who is also on this team. And I look at how this team, correlation, understanding how correlation impacts best ball, and team correlation is a very beneficial element, and adds to our belief in this building block of how we're viewing this game. And so thinking from this different dimension, this zeroth principle thinking, the emotional and conscious state that we're in is, like I said, thinking from that different dimension. And that new building block that we're seeing that's entering into our awareness as fantasy football players is that the tight end position is the most, it's just the building block in drafting fantasy football teams that is not being applied heavily enough at all into the structure of how these teams are working through. And so we do start with three Bears players in Burden, Rome, and Loveland. Caleb Williams goes at 75, which is totally fine. You do not need the quarterback when you are doing team correlation there. There's plenty of different options for us here. And the belief is that through this different dimension, and thinking about what we talked about earlier, you only need to start one quarterback every week. So therefore, quarterback is the least valuable position in all of fantasy football and best ball mania. So we're really just fading quarterback as a whole and only allowing quarterbacks to come to us at beautiful, cheap prices. And so have no concerns over not getting Caleb Williams on this team, despite having his top 3 receivers. Totally fair, totally fine. And that allows us a bunch of different fun, unique options on this team here in a little bit. But continuing this belief of how we can continue on building and thinking from this different dimension and this mental architecture of thinking is going to be critical to building a super team here, which we're going to do and which we have done already. In our future, our self from that higher dimension is playing through us essentially right here, right now. And so now we're on the clock at pick 84. We're going to continue with our belief here on this tight end meta and do take Tucker Kraft. And given that receivers are one of the most important positions, I can look at Jayden Reed and say that's a great pick to make here at these prices. So I do take Tucker Kraft here, and I am going to go ahead and take Jayden Reed, a player who I am just have extreme belief in from a talent perspective, and obviously is a beautiful correlation with Tucker Kraft on this team. And so we do start Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Kraft at tight end, Luther, Rome, and Jayden Reed, and James Cook on this team, guys. Just a beautiful, beautiful roster that we've been able to construct. And just thinking again, guys, from these first principles, not these zeroth principles, uncovering building blocks that don't exist in the current mental state of just the landscape and the human consciousness, and thinking about best ball mania landscape and environment right now, we see quarterback pricing being at all-time highs, despite quarterbacks being the least important position in your starting lineup. And we see tight ends in the NFL being priced, put at an all-time premium, and the league shifting towards this new meta of 12 and 13 personnel. Yet tight end pricing, in my personal opinion, is at an all-time low. And I look at, the death that we talked about as the death of, slot receivers, and the death of really one-dimensional running backs. And given that you only need to start 2 running backs in a given week, getting an elite running back, like an anchor running back, and waiting on RB2, to me, allows you to build the ceiling on the team. And we only want to draft running backs who have pure 3-down ability and pure, do not tip off the defense as to whether it's going to be a run or pass. So to me, James Cook, like I said, guys, is probably one of the best examples you can make outside of Gibbs, Bijan, McCaffrey, and Genty. And quite honestly, guys, James Cook is the most explosive rusher out of all those players I just talked about, leading the National Football League last year in rushing yards, and still somehow going at the end of the first round, and does have the best Week 18 matchup versus the Dolphins. And so just thinking about, our belief in fading quarterback, our belief in understanding that RB2 is not a concern, understanding that receivers, we only want to draft receivers who are going to be primary boundary X receivers, and the fact that they are going to be on the field in 12 personnel sets, and potentially 13 personnel sets, if possible. So we only want to draft receivers that are going to be in 12 personnel sets. And so Jayden Reed has potential to be in 12 personnel sets. That's not a guarantee, but it's possible. But guys, he is so dynamic. The Packers, went ahead and extended him. He's so dynamic, and I think he's going to be such a versatile piece of this offense, being a rushing threat, a receiving threat, and going to be schemed very, very beautifully in the red zone, as he has been throughout his entire career. I do think he is kind of an okay bet to believe in, and I do think he's just a better football player than Matthew Golden. And I do believe that he will find his way onto the field in 12 personnel sets. Maybe not to start the year, guys, but to end the year, no doubt, in my opinion. Just because he, in my opinion, is the best Packers receiver. So we are now back on the clock at 1:08. Fannon is there. Jordan Love is there. Matthew Golden is there. With our first pick, guys, we are going to go ahead and select Jordan Love because we do have the correlation with Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft. And now we can look at, do we want Michael Pittman Jr.? Do we want Harold Fannon? What do we want to do on this team? And to me, Pittman Jr. is a beautiful pick on this team. I do believe he is going to be on the field in these heavier sets. I do believe he's a much superior player to Matthew Golden. So I'm going to be going ahead and selecting Michael Pittman Jr. on this team as our wide receiver 4, and feeling really great about that. I understand that Jordan Love, we could have double stacked with Golden and Jaden Reed and Kraft. However, to me, Michael Pittman Jr. is just such a superior player to Matthew Golden that they're just in different tiers of players. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr. is 120 targets every year. I do believe he will be the top target earner on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And given that how we're thinking about the wide receiver position, guys, we want to maximize our volume essentially at this position because it is such a flat position after the first round wide receivers. And to me, Michael Pittman Jr., guys, can easily have more targets than many of the third round receivers, such as Chris Olave. I mean, looking at the third round receivers, guys, Michael Pittman Jr. easily could have more targets than T. Higgins, more targets than Malik Neighbors, more targets than Ladd McConkey, certainly more targets than, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin. And to be able to get him in the 10th round, to me, is just a very beautiful thing. Matthew Golden did not show anything as a rookie. And given that we already have Kraft and Reed, I just believe that Pittman is just a superior player in all facets of the game at this point, and I don't believe that their ADP should be anywhere near each other. So very happy how that is building out for us. And we looked at Harold Fannon there, guys, and you might say, okay, why would you not be in on Harold Fannon if you're thinking about tight ends being this the new wide receivers, if you will. And guys, I look at the Cleveland Browns offense, drafting Casey Concepcion, drafting Denzel Boston. I look at the quarterback position just having no ceiling whatsoever. And I look at Harold Fannon last year, obviously had an amazing rookie year, but that was in a situation where there was zero target competition on the team, zero rushing ability after Quinshon Judkins went out. And it was really, Joe Flacco starting the beginning of the year as well. So I look at Harold Fannon's production and I say, also Harold Fannon is dealing with a groin injury because of his movement patterns and his duck-feeded, running style, similar to Kenneth Walker and how he moves as well. But I look at that and I say, you know what? I'm actually going to be fading Harold Fannon despite him being an elite, rookie tight end. And I love him as a player. Just, it's not the right time for him. And that's okay, right? That's definitely okay. And so, very happy with how that turn came out. We're back on the clock at pick 132. Khalil Shakir is a beautiful correlation with James Cook. So, I'm happy to queue him up on this team. We're going to go ahead and take Shakir. I think he's a great player. We're going to go ahead and take Shakir. And we also are going to go ahead and take a tight end and close out tight end right here with Shakir Gadsden, a player that I think is just extremely mispriced, and I want on all of my teams if possible. And so we do go ahead and nab Gadsden here at 133. No other Chargers players, but that's fine. We do take Shakir here, correlated with James Cook. I love that. And I know we talked about not drafting receivers who are not going to be on the field in 12 personnel sets. But to me, guys, I do believe Khalil Shakir will find his way onto the field in those sets, and be a bit of a surprise and move outside of his typical slot only position in the past, because I look at the addition of DJ Moore as being a critical piece to this Bills offense, and I look at how the Bills want to run their team with Kincaid and Knox being the two tight ends of those 12 personnel sets, and to me, looking at the other Bills wide receivers, they have no one else, and I think they're going to want to put their best players on the field. I think Khalil Shakir is just a dog of a player, and similar to Jaden Reed, these guys are kind of the exception in the fact that they're not guaranteed to play in 12 personnel sets, but I do believe the culture, the coaching staff is going to realize these guys have earned the right to play as the team's wide receiver 2, ahead of players like Keon Coleman just being on the field because he's a bigger body. Besides the fact of Matthew Golden being on the field over Jaden Reed because for whatever reason. And I believe they're going to want to put their best receivers on the field as much as possible in being in these heavy sets. And so that goes along with their teammate correlation bet as well with James Cook and with, the Packers build that we have on this team with Kraft and Jordan Love. So really, really love how this team is turning out so far. Loving the receivers that we got on this team as well. Like we talked about with targets, I think Shakir can easily have over, I think he can out-target Ladd McConkey this year, guys. I think he can out-target certainly Davonte Adams. I do think Shakir can easily out-target DJ Moore, to be quite honest. I think Khalil Shakir can easily be the wide receiver 1 on the Buffalo Bills. I do think he is extremely underrated as a talent. Coming off this ankle surgery, I do believe he's going to be returning to his explosiveness that he flashed in his first 2 years in the NFL, having over 15 yards per catch. And I just think he's just a beautiful correlative pick with this team. And now, guys, looking at this team, we can continue to build this team out, considering we only have one running back through 12 rounds, and that is James Cook, which I feel great about. We do have 5 tight ends and I believe 5 receivers. So we are sitting at a 1-1-5-5 build, and we're going to continue to operate from the Zeroth Principles and operate from this alternative dimension to play this game here, which we're fortunate enough to play. And so we look at who is going to be available for us at 156 and 157. We have a bunch of different options. We could take running back if we so choose. We could take receiver if we so choose. To me, Cam Ward makes sense on this team if we wanted another quarterback. But given the ADP values of quarterbacks falling here, I am probably going to go ahead and just select. We could do a bunch of different things. We could go Jonah Coleman, a player that I'm very high on. So let's go ahead and take Jonah. Actually, let's go ahead and take Trey Tucker, a player who I do believe is going to be on the field quite a bit. And let's go ahead and take. Let's just go ahead and pull up Fernando Mendoza on this team, guys. I know it's a bit early for him, but I do want to lock him up. I do want to lock him up on this team. So very happy to take him here. Correlates with Bowers and Trey Tucker. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And now I'm done at quarterback, guys. So just Jordan Love and Mendoza. I feel great about that. I love how we have Love double stacked with Jaden Reed and Kraft. I love how we have Mendoza stacked up with Trey Tucker and Bowers. And now we're shutting it down at quarterback. A little bit early for Mendoza, but totally fine with that. Still only one running back through 14 rounds now, guys, and continuing our belief that we can completely fade and ignore RB2 and believe that James Cook will be having a career year and building on what he did last year, leading the NFL in rushing and putting up more touchdowns this year, because I do believe the Bills offense is going to take a step forward with Sean McDermott out of the building, with bringing in DJ Moore, with the healthy Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid, with Josh Allen just motivated continually to chase that Super Bowl. I am very high on the Bills, and I love their personnel that they have, and I believe Josh Allen will make the most out of it. And I think there's no running backs on this on that team outside of James Cook, and I think we're going to see a career high snap share percentage for James Cook this year as well. So yes, this is a beautiful team, guys, and so happy to take Mendoza a little bit early, like we talked about, to get that correlation, that stack, and shut it down now. And we're going to allow these last 4 picks here to come to us, continuing on our belief of, just fading running back completely outside of RB, because we do have that elite running back. James Cook easily could finish as the running back 1 overall in fantasy football. And we want to continue to maximize the points that we're able to score at receiver, given that it is the most valuable position in our starting lineup from a roster construction perspective, given that you have to start 3 of them. And operating from this different dimension, guys, to me, it is going to we are perceiving, quarterback to be the least valuable position. So we take 2 late quarterbacks, after pick 105 with Mendoza and Love. And we, running back to me is the second least important position, given kind of running backs being pretty much all in committee backfields at this point outside of the first round players. And I look at the upside of some of these handcuff running backs and running backs who can be in just ambiguous backfields that we might not be perceiving as ambiguous at this point, but easily could be. And so, I love this team so far, guys. We are going to be coming up here on the clock at pick 180. And we're going to be able to do a number of different things on this team and open up our mind to continue to operate from a different alternative dimension on this build. And I'm loving how this team has come together so far. And we are going to be on the clock here at pick 180. And we can do Dylan Sampson. We can do Sean Tucker. I am going to go ahead and select Sean Tucker, a player who I believe has that 3 down ability. And we're going to go ahead and select him right here. A beautiful pick indeed. We're actually going to go Brandon Ayuk first. And we're going to push Sean Tucker if we want. Any other receivers that we believe have league-winning upside, I'm not seeing any. So I will go ahead and take Sean Tucker on this team, a player that, to me, has displayed the ability to be deployed as a 3-down running back with, multiple 30-point games in his career. And with Bucky Irving, who knows what's going on with his situation. Sean Tucker could simply just be the lead back for this team. And I do personally believe Sean Tucker is the best running back talent on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a great offensive line. And I believe Sean Tucker, entering year 4 in the NFL, is putting it all together now and going to unleash his talent on the league this year. And as our RB2, I love that, guys. I mean, to be able to draft a running back who has 2 games of over 30 points in his career, despite never playing, in both those games, not even having a 50% snap share, just shows the upside of Sean Tucker. And like I said, that upside is, I do believe Sean Tucker is a better running back than Jadarian Price, than Bashal Tutin, than Bucky Irving. So many 5th-round running backs, and is in a very similar ambiguous backfield as we talked about, where people are not thinking about it as ambiguous, with Bucky Irving being drafted in the 5th round, with Kenneth Gainwell being drafted in the 9th round. But Sean Tucker, to me, is that bet I want to be making in that backfield. So very happy to have him as my RB2 on this team. Given kind of how we're believing in thinking about this landscape from this alternative dimension. And Brandon Ayuk, to me, guys, is that league winner receiver that allows us more and more upside and fantasy points at wideout, and is a player who I know will be on the field in 12 personnel sets for the Washington Commanders, a player that I know will be the primary downfield, playmaker and underneath playmaker, because he is the best, one of the best yards after catch wide receivers in the NFL over the last 5 years. And Jaden Daniels and him are extremely connected and boys, and we know how much that matters in terms of wide receiver quarterback connection. So very fortunate to be able to get Brandon Ayuk here at pick 180. And we have 2 more picks on this team, guys, coming up at 17 and 18. And looking at what we can do for this team, we have 2 running backs. So we have the option, if we want, to draft 1 more running back and another receiver. Or we could shut it down at wide receiver and look at just drafting 2 running backs here to close this one out. And so I'm thinking about it right now. We have a number of running backs still available to us. To me, receiver has pretty much dried up in terms of players who I know will be on the field in these sets, like we've talked about, and who lack, who don't provide that, 25 point per game ability. And so we are going to be on the clock here at pick 204, 205. There's a number of different options we can take here. To me, one of those options lies in Emmett Johnson, a player who I believe is the best 3-down running back outside of Jeremiah Love in this past draft, on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, and somehow available at pick 191. So we will go ahead and select him. With our next selection, we can do a number of different things on this team. Thinking about correlation, guys, thinking about what makes sense for this build, I want to go ahead and select a player on the Chargers offense who I believe is extremely elite, a player who I do believe has 3-down ability, does not tip off the defense either way, and that's going to be Kimani Vidal. And we're going to go ahead and select him here at 205. And there you have it, guys. Just an absolute beautiful team that has been drafted from that alternate dimension. And to recap, at pick 12, we go Jordan Love, double stacked with Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. We go Fernando Mendoza, double stacked with Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers. We do Bears correlation with Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze. We go ahead and take James Cook at running back with Khalil Shakir. We go ahead and get Sean Tucker, Emmett Johnson, and Kimani Vidal on this team. Kimani Vidal correlated with Shakir Gadsden and Emmett Johnson to bring back for that game in week 17. Michael Pittman Jr. as well, Brandon Ayuk. Just a absolutely beautiful team, guys, that we've been fortunate enough to be able to draft here today. And to me, this is what it looks like, guys. I want to kind of think, talk about this again, just how we were able to think from a different dimension here in this draft. And thinking about how we believe quarterback is the least valuable position. And to me, we got 2 quarterbacks at very, very cheap prices that can easily put up 25 points in any given game in the fantasy football playoffs with Jordan Love and Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick in this past draft, correlated with their wide receiver 1 and their tight end 1, Bowers and Kraft, and Tucker and Jaden Reed. And looking at running backs, guys, we executed what we believed in as far as drafting running backs who possess 3-down ability and can be deployed in a 60 to 70% snap share, given the fact that they do not tip off the defense, whether it's going to be a rush or a pass, because they are all, above average receivers to elite receivers and extremely explosive rushers, which they've proven in their careers as well. And all are requisite size, all being over 205 pounds to be able to operate in that 3-down role. And we were able to build out our receiving core with 7 players who I believe are the wide receiver 1 on their team. To be quite honest with you guys, I do believe Burden is the wide receiver 1 on his team. I believe Rome is going to be, we can't have two receivers on the same team that are both wide receiver one, but I do believe Burden and Rome are just both amazing picks at their prices. I just have heavy belief in the Chicago Bears offense despite not drafting Caleb. We do go ahead and take Jaden Reed on this team as well, with Pittman, Shakir, and Trey Tucker and Ayuk. And just this absolutely amazing tight end room with Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Kraft, and Gadsden, guys. So operating from this Zeroth Principles perspective allows us to access parts of the game that have not been discovered yet, guys, in my opinion and my belief. And to me, it allows us to draft teams like this where I truly believe at running back, we have just as much upside as anyone else. At quarterback, the least valuable position, we can easily put up, the requisite points and then some, because I do believe Love and Mendoza could easily finish. Love finishing as a top 5 quarterback is definitely possible. And Mendoza closing the year as a top 10 quarterback is very possible as well. This receiving core to me is extremely strong for the prices we paid. And we talked about, guys, tight ends being the most, basically the new wide receivers. And so I appreciate you guys listening, watching. I encourage you to think from Zeroth Principles yourself. Just very blessed and grateful to be able to operate and think from this different dimension. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this perspective. This has been AJ Talk Sports, aka Slime Santana, Best Ball Mania 7 champion, sweeping the entire top 10 through Zeroth Principles thinking. Blessed and grateful to be here with y'all today, doing what I love, and just playing the game for the love of the game. Good night. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ Talk Sports. We're back at it again live with another Best Ball Mania 7 draft. Coming at you guys today from the 110. And I do something a bit unconventional, guys. I do Jonathan Taylor. My first share of Jonathan Taylor in Best Ball Mania 7 comes at the 110. Genty got pulled up, so we just go ahead and take Taylor. The following ADP value, have a very unique build on this team with a Taylor start. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my GOAT, Brock Bowers, with him. And so we do start Taylor Bowers, which is very fun, in my personal opinion, to say the least. So we're off and running there. Pass on the double elite running backs and go Taylor Bowers. Taylor, we know he's absurd, super elite player. He has honestly a pretty nice fantasy football playoff schedule with the Titans and the Bengals. Bengals in a dome, and then the Cleveland Browns. So honestly, Jonathan Taylor could be who you need to advance to the finals with that Bengals game and the Titans game. He could just easily go back-to-back 30-point games right there. And so to be able to get him here at 10 with Bowers is very fun. It opens up some very fun possibilities for us. And as I mentioned, guys, we are going to be thinking from the first principles of creativity, removing the fear of failure, and the prophecy comes to light through presence in the process. And so being present in this process, we don't panic when players get taken. We remain present in the moment, and Taylor Bowers is beautiful. Two amazing players who are primed to have, smash seasons. Jonathan Taylor, guys, what needs to be said about him? One of the best players in the NFL year after year. Somehow just gets repeatedly disrespected because he doesn't catch many passes. But to be honest, guys, with the removal of Michael Pittman Jr., I honestly think we could see a career high in receptions for Jonathan Taylor. And we saw what he did last year, guys. A career high 46 receptions, career high receiving yards as well, 380 receiving yards, 20 TDs last year, which is crazy. His second season with 20 TDs, 320 carries, which is crazy. But I think Jonathan Taylor can do it again and post a 1,700 yard season, 50 receptions. Very, very possible stuff, guys. Health has just been the only thing for him, but with Michael Pittman being gone, Alec Pierce being injured, they could just lean on Jonathan Taylor even more. I think that's something I haven't really thought about too much, but definitely a possibility. Age 27, they're going to want to use up Jonathan Taylor as much as possible. So they still have a really good O-line. Why not? Why not Jonathan Taylor at pick 10, which is an amazing value. So I'm happy to get him there. And like I said, my first share of Jonathan Taylor this year in my BBM 146. So I only got 4 more BBMs after this one, guys. So we do feel good to be able to get a JT share, at least one of them in there, despite us having Genty. We have about 50% Genty now. So to be able to get at least a 1% Taylor, we will take that and feel good about that as being, part of our access key to sweeping the top 10 in BBM 7 and winning, obviously, Best Ball Mania 7, which we have been able to do. So fortunately enough. And so we're back on the clock, and I'm going to continue to believe in who I think is the league winner wide receiver here in the 3rd round, and I'm going to take Luther Burden here at pick 34. I'm very, very happy to do so here at these prices. I do believe Luther Burden should be a 2-3 turn pick, frankly. I do believe he is on the tier of talent of quite honestly, guys, of a Amon-Ra / Jamar Chase hybrid. That is who I believe Luther Burden is. And I'm going to go ahead and keep building out this Bears deal and go Loveland with Luther. And I think this is going to be an extremely unique combination with JT, because just most JT drafters are not Bears drafters, if I would guess so. And especially going double elite tight end with Taylor is going to be a very rare. And Josh Allen is going to fall in this room heavily here, as he is now at pick 42. And wow, Jalen Waddle at pick 42. So this room is absolutely fluid and free. So I love that about this room. And we're going to see what happens here. We see a lot of different ADPs. I was able to get JT at 10. I mean, Josh Allen continues to fall here to pick 44. This is the farthest I've ever seen Josh Allen fall. So shout out to our friend Dopery 420 for that pick. It's a pretty nice value there. Was that 10 picks past ADP for Josh Allen? Yep, 10 picks past ADP for Josh Allen. It's pretty sick. So shout out to our boy there for that. But yeah, like I said, guys, with this Jonathan Taylor pick, I really do enjoy this. He could obviously just go nuclear against the Titans and the Bengals, which he's done in the past. And to be able to access the double elite tight end skeleton key, which I do believe, as we talked about in previous videos, is a core part of my 2026 Best Ball Mania 7 strategy, or architecture of how I plan, or how I envision, I should say, sweeping the entire podium and winning Best Ball Mania 7 is through the double elite tight end strategy with Bowers and Loveland, and adding Jonathan Taylor as the RB to that team is very fun and a very unique way to play it for me in my portfolio. So very happy to shift my angle and shift the energy to flow in a little bit of a different direction here, with Jonathan Taylor being the anchor running back for this team. And we're going to continue to stay present in this process and allow the prophecy to come to light here today, guys. Just came back from a week-long vacation from Florida. That's why I'm a little bit tan, as you guys can see, but had a beautiful time with my family. Spent, good 5-6 days out there on the beach, just soaking up the sun, reflecting on life, being present in the moment with family. Just being, a week full of gratitude, and really just using this last week to set my focus kind of at the midpoint of 2026 for the second half of 2026. And the first half of 2026, guys, has been one of the best. Has been the best half, beginning of start of the year in my life. It's the most growth and the best I felt as a man. And so having this last week here to kind of reset and reflect and realign for the second half of the year, it was just amazing. And just the energy that's flowing through me, guys, I couldn't be more grateful. the focus, the energy, the presence is a beautiful thing, guys. And so happy to be doing what I love with y'all here today. We're back on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and select Christian Watson on this team. I think he's the absolute smash here at these prices. I think he fits very well with this team for what we need. And I like Christian Watson a lot. Super explosive player. So take him right there at pick 58 on this squad. And we'll see what we can do here at 63. Parker Washington does intrigue me quite a bit. But given how the rest of this board is falling, I'm going to probably consider. This is an interesting option, guys. No doubt about it. We could go Warren here if we really wanted to get crazy here at tight end. We can go triple elite tight end with Warren. Let's do it, guys. Let's go Warren. Let's try it out. Bowers, Loveland, and Warren on this team. Why not push the envelope here and see what we can do? We obviously believe in this Colts offense with Jonathan Taylor. Let's go Tyler Warren on this team. We don't take Caleb Williams. So, that's that. But given how we've seen quarterbacks fall in this room with Josh Allen falling, Lamar Jackson falling, Caleb Williams falling back to 82 is not improbable at all, guys. Not improbable at all. In fact, very possible. So we'll see how that turns out. But that was my first Tyler Warren share as well. Not a player I draft much of, but most comparable to Jason Witten. And we know how Jason Witten can pile up stats and yards. Tyler Warren, just a girth, low density, low center of gravity girth, tank, as my friend Ian would say. So shout out to you, Ian. This team is dedicated to Ian. Ian is a massive Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren fan. So I'm going to go ahead and draft this team on Ian's behalf. Shout out to my dog, Ian. Real ones know. PPP, CCC. Very, very fluid type day, if you will. But we go triple elite tight end on this build, guys. We do go Jonathan Taylor, so why not go Tyler Warren and believe in this Colts offense returning to its elite offensive production as it was, operating for a majority of last year until Daniel Jones went down. So, by the end of the season next year, guys, this year, guys, I should say, when the fantasy football playoffs come around, it could be, we're basically betting that Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor are chugging along and back to those elite fantasy productions that they're performing once Daniel Jones is fully integrated back, fully healthy again by the end of the year, back in rhythm. Once Alec Pierce is fully back in rhythm. And so, that's kind of what this team is built around. And then obviously with Loveland and Burden, we're expecting the Bears to be extremely elite. And then with Bowers, I just believe Bowers is the single most, important player to draft in all of fantasy football in 2026, as many people have alluded to. I just do believe he is the best receiver in the National Football League, regardless of position. I can't really say enough great things about Brock Bowers. His own coach came out and said in the middle of June that this guy is a football robot from heaven. After just looking at him at practice for a couple of days, there's really nothing Brock Bowers can't do. There's really nothing, he's just the GOAT of all GOATs. And Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland basically had some of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen at the tight end position outside of Brock Bowers. So 3 extremely elite tight ends on this team, and adds to our belief of the meta of drafting through the tight end position, and the tight end position being the actual skeleton key of Best Ball Mania 7, which is really my fundamental belief this year. So very fortunate to be able to draft my first Bowers, Loveland, Tyler Warren team with you all here today. So we're on the clock yet again, And what would you look at that? Caleb Williams goes at 73. Dak is there. Tucker Kraft is there. Trevor Lawrence is there. So I'm going to go QJ here because we don't really need another tight end at this point. I would love another wideout here. Kraft is going to probably go here at this turn. So given that, I mean, we don't have another glaring need. Harvey is very interesting to me for another running back selection. I love Harvey and his explosiveness. I mean, we don't need Kraft at all, guys, but I mean, he is kind of interesting to me here. Okay, there goes Harvey. So we don't need Trevor because we took Christian Watson over Brian Thomas Jr. So no Trevor on this team. We'll see what our friends Kyler and Let's see what they do right here. Our friend is OTC. He does have, I thought he did have a CD, but he goes Kenneth Gainwell at pick 86. I understand Jalen Warren's ADP value, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and just see what happens here. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to take Tucker Kraft here, guys. I'm going to take Tucker Kraft here. I'm going to go Brock Bowers, Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, and Tucker Kraft on this team. I'm just going to allow this room to fall to me. And, you know, our mental architecture, guys, that we've been thinking about throughout Best Ball Mania 7 has been this first principles of creativity, right? And so the key rule of, I guess the fourth pillar of the first principles of creativity is exploration. So being willing and being able to experiment without really knowing the final outcome, and be driven by pure curiosity and the drive to resolve tension, and not having the fear of failure, and removing all societal norms, constraints, ADP value, roster construction, stripping away everything, and really just getting to the fundamentals of what the goal of fantasy football is and what Best Ball Mania 7 is, and just allowing this room to take us where it might. And we've talked about it, guys, and throughout this draft and throughout the last entire offseason, that we believe the tight end is the skeleton key of the NFL, not even fantasy football, but of the NFL period, in 2026, guys, with these 12 heavy, with these heavy personnel sets, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, with the lack of elite wide receiver talent, outside of the top couple guys, and with the surgence of elite tight ends that have entered the NFL over the last couple of years. And so you look at the roster construction of how Best Ball Mania works, guys. I mean, you're allowed to start 2 tight ends every week. I mean, that's the same. You can start 2 running backs every week. So you can honestly value the tight end position similar to how I value the running back position. And given that we believe that tight ends have that asymmetrical upside, given that, you can get elite wide receiver 1 production from them in their spike weeks, and being able to get 2 of those guys in your tight end and flex opens up a range of outcomes that other teams don't have access to. But the critical part is going to be building your wide receiver core and your running back core to be able to find those breakout players later in the drafts, or wherever in the draft, to sustain what the rest of the field is doing, and allow tight ends to access that next dimension transcendental ceiling, to deliver you that BBM 7 podium sweep, which is what we have been able to accomplish. And so this team is the epitome of everything we've talked about, guys, as far as removing the fear of failure, drafting from first principles, being willing to explore without knowing the final outcome, and really just pushing the limits of what's possible, while still staying in the constraints of the game and allowing that energy to flow through new pathways and channels through resolving tension. So that's what we're doing on this team. And so back up on the clock here at pick 106, our friend Sir Silver takes Sam Laporta there. So Blake Corum is a great option for us here as our second running back. Jordan Love, Matthew Golden are also there. Michael Pittman Jr. is there. So I'm actually going to go Jordan Love here first. No, let's go Corum. Let's go Corum. We definitely need a second running back. I do believe Corum has elite upside. 13 picks past ADP for Corum as well, which is a massive gift. We're going to risk it with Jordan Love coming back to us here. Our friend Kyler already had Lamar and Dak. That's what I was checking. So we should be clear for him there. Our friend Unknow is on the clock. If he wants to take a naked Jordan Love, he can be my guest. But we shall see here indeed what happens. I mean, Jonathan Brooks is also a great value. He goes. But yeah, I think Corum was just a beautiful gift for us here at 106, and is why you allow, you push the limits of what's possible in these builds, in these rooms. And so back up on the clock here at pick 111. If you know, you know. Wow. got a little bit queasy there, guys, as we saw the purple go off, but we are fortunate enough to go ahead and draft Jordan Love to this team at pick 111. If you know, you know. I'll say that again. Jordan Love, 1-1, 1-1-1, 1-1-1. That is the prophecy in motion, guys. And we do get Jordan Love stacked up with Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft on this team. We got a beautiful ADP value in Corum, who I do believe has league-winning upside. Even if Kyron was to stay healthy, I think Corum is just a better football player. We do believe the Rams are going to be an elite team this year, Super Bowls, in the range of outcomes for sure. Going to be extremely run-heavy this year, probably the most run-heavy team in the NFL, I would say, given that they only have one good receiving weapon. They're one of the biggest, proponents of this meta that we've been talking about as far as the super heavy tight end strategy. And so, yeah. Very, very fortunate to get Corum there, 13 picks past ADP, as you rarely ever see that. And very blessed to get Jordan Love here stacked up with Christian Watson and Kraft at these really, really nice prices. Watson past ADP, Kraft past ADP. Just very, very fortunate and blessed on this team, guys, to be honest. And Jordan Love, shout out to my boy Jacob Gibbs for this stat. Jordan Love was super elite last year, guys. Despite what you would think, I don't know, hold on, guys, let me pull up the stat for y'all real quick. I don't know why it's not pulling up here, but Jacob Gibbs on Twitter basically discovered that Jordan Love was second in EPA last year, behind only Matthew Stafford, or actually had higher EPA than Matthew Stafford, and only trailed Drake May last year, guys. And so, yeah, I mean, Mina Kimes had the same tweet. Jordan Love last year was second in EPA per dropback, third in QBR, second in QBR on third down, and third in DVOA. Basically, is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL that I'm able to get at pick 111. I think he is the cheapest top 10 quarterback you can get in fantasy football this year. And I do believe that, he allows this team to work perfectly. I'm very high on Jordan Love this year. I want to get as much of him as I can as I close it out. Like I said, I think he is the best quarterback to get late. And that's why I was okay not taking Caleb there, because it allowed us access to, Tyler Warren, which is an elite tight end. And so, yeah, really, really fun team so far on this build. And we're going to keep drafting here and seeing what comes back to us at this turn, and keep thinking from the first principles of creativity and allowing this energy to flow into new pathways through the application of the BBM7 rules, some of the kind of the restrictions and limitations that this roster can, the BBM7 rounds and rosters, how it all kind of sets and formulates. So, yeah, I like that a lot. So I wanted to share that with y'all. And really, really fun playoff schedule for us. We do have the Packers playing the Dolphins week 15, which I love. The Colts are playing the Bengals in week 17, which we love. So really, really fun schedule for us so far. And then the Bears play the Lions in week 17. So we love that as well. But we're back on the clock here. A number of different options that we can go. Guys, this is a tough spot to be in. I like Jalen Coker on this team. I think Jalen Coker's a damn good football player. We'll get him at 130. Obviously, don't need these tight ends here. Not very high on either of these running backs. We could take Keaton Mitchell potentially, but to me, it's not much of a. I'm not feeling like I need to jam Keaton Mitchell here, to be honest with y'all. I mean, he goes there at 132, so that happens. We do have Taylor and Corum. We have Luther, Watson, QJ, and Coker. I mean, I love Coker a lot this year, guys, and so I feel good about him at these prices. Preachy is there. Guys, this is going to be crazy, but I'm going to pass on all these players because I don't think they're very good, to be quite honest. I'm going to take who I believe to be is another league-winning player. I don't care if he's a tight end. And I take my 5th tight end. I go Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Kraft, and Gadsden. We're obviously shutting it down now at tight end, but I want to see what happens when you draft a team like this, guys. 5, in my opinion, 5 elite tight ends. I mean, I think we still have an elite quarterback with Jordan Love, who I showed, was a top 3 quarterback last year. With Christian Watson now fully healthy, Tucker Kraft going to be returning by week 1 and came out. So I feel great about that. Taylor, I mean, elite running back, no doubt about it. Corum, I think, has elite running back upside with the Rams this year. We got a beautiful ADP dip on him. Burden, I think, is this year's JSN. Christian Watson can have a massive breakdown and obviously correlates with Jordan Love, which is just great for this team. QJ, I'm extremely high on. I think he's going to be the Chargers wide receiver 1 this year. And I mean, QJ correlates with Gadsden as well. So we got some teammate correlation there with Warren and Taylor, with Watson and Kraft, with Gadsden and QJ, with Loveland and Luther. So we have a lot of teammate correlation here. We don't have the quarterback stacks, but the teammate correlation matters a lot to me here. And we have a 1-2-4-5 build at this point, guys. And so we're going to see how we can continue to build out this team with this, I don't even know what to call it, tight end super god squad. I mean, the zenith, the prophecy of the tight end rooms, but who knows what to say, guys. But with this team, I'm going to draft 4 running backs. With Taylor and Corum, I feel like I'm going to play it like I have 2 elite running back ones. With Corum, I'm just going to pretend Kyron Williams doesn't exist with Corum. And with quarterback, I mean, we could definitely have Daniel Jones is gone, which is kind of crazy. He goes at 138 to the Alec Pierce drafter, a little bit early for him, so that's okay. Quarterback, we can, we have some options. We can go Bryce Young if we wanted to. We do have Coker. Mendoza is an option as well, but at 154, guys, the room is open to us, and it's going to allow to flow it to us however we like. So I just feel blessed and grateful to be able to draft a team like this and see what we can do here when we, truly push the limits of what is possible in fantasy football, specifically in Best Ball Mania 7. And I'm proud that we are on this exploration journey together, and we are doing this. So I'm proud of us for doing this, guys. I really am proud of us. So shout out to y'all for being a part of this journey with me. We're on the clock. Bryce Young goes and Sam Darnold goes. So I look at this. The guys to the left of me already have 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Naylor on this team. I think he's a damn good football player. Correlates with our build here. I do believe he'll be the Raiders wide receiver 1. So I'm going to go ahead and select him here. Correlates with Bowers as well. So I love Naylor at these prices. I do think he's a better football player than Trey Tucker, who I think is more of a locker room culture guy. I do believe Trey Tucker was brought in for a reason, to be that X receiver. He is 6'2". He is, definitely slept on, in my opinion, from a size, speed perspective. I do believe he's going to play a bunch of snaps this year, probably 100% of the snaps. He's a great blocker, just a great all-around football player, and I think was brought in for a reason, like I said. And at 159, guys, I am just going to go ahead and select Mendoza, given that we need our second quarterback. And really, I don't think there's another quarterback worth drafting, specifically for this team after Mendoza. And we are going to go ahead and shut it down at quarterback with the build with just Jordan Love and Mendoza, which most people in Best Ball Mania 7 would say that's really, really thin. But think about it, guys. We just proved that Jordan Love was a top 3 quarterback by all the advanced analytics last year. Now with the best receiving core of his career, healthiest receiving core as well. And then the number 1 overall pick in Fernando Mendoza, stacked up with his wide receiver 1 and his real wide receiver 1 in Brock Bowers. So we got Mendoza double stacked. We got Love double stacked. I love both their offensive environments. I love both of their receiving cores. I love both of them. I think it's strong enough for us to win Best Ball Mania 7 with easily, because like I said, Packers play the Dolphins and Bears. So I mean, I do believe Love is going to go nuclear against the Dolphins. I definitely think he could easily have a big week against the Bears, but if he doesn't, I do believe by week 16 Mendoza will be starting and online, and the Las Vegas Raiders play the Tennessee Titans, who don't have a good defense at all, in a dome. And I think Mendoza could have his breakout game against the Titans and have a big 25, 30-point spike week with his rushing upside. And having Brock Bowers on your team, guys, just opens up the entire field for you. And Mendoza can literally just throw to Bowers and get there with a rushing touchdown and 2 touchdowns to Bowers, and he's a smash at these prices. I don't understand for the life of me why the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft is basically the cheapest quarterback you can get besides 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. He's in an amazing offensive environment with a great offensive line, an elite offensive coordinator and head coach, the best receiver in the National Football League in Brock Bowers, and one of the best running backs, if not the best running back, in Ashton Genty. So, I don't understand that, but I'm happy to buy that. And Mendoza is going to be one of my most highest drafted quarterbacks this year in fantasy football. So we're back on the clock, and I'm going to go ahead and select Adonai Mitchell right here, guys. A player that I'm trying to eat as much as I can of. I'm just trying to draft as much Adonai Mitchell as I can. He is a player that I do believe is on the Davonte Adams career arc. He is a player that I do believe the Colts made a massive mistake in trading last year, just when he had that horrific blunder in the Rams game. And I look at Adonai Mitchell, guys, just an unreal athlete, still only 23 years old, developing in his career. And Davonte Adams was a very slow developer, if you guys remember. Very similar player, in my opinion, guys. Davonte Adams, 6'1", 212, not nearly as athletic, but started his career off very similarly to our boy Adonai Mitchell. We can pull that up here in just a second. 400 yards, then has that 1,000-yard, 12-touchdown season. What did Adonai Mitchell do, guys? 400 yards. I think that 1,000-yard, 12-touchdown season is right here, right around the corner for us, guys. And to be able to draft him on this team with tight ends and these quarterbacks and running backs is what I believe allows us that unreal, untapped ceiling that is just inaccessible in any other way in Best Ball Mania and fantasy football, quite honestly. So I just feel really fortunate to be able to get talents like Adonai Mitchell and Brandon Ayuk at these cheap prices to allow this receiving core to really come together beautifully and just really, really strengthen this receiving core and add tremendous upside to it. It is just a blessing, especially when you're going this heavy at tight end. Still getting 2 great quarterbacks, in my opinion, who can easily press top 5 quarterbacks down the stretch. And then 2 RB1s as well to anchor this team in Taylor and Corum. And so this team is just really, really beautiful, guys. One of my favorite teams I've ever drafted in Best Ball Mania 7 here. Like I said, this is my 146th Best Ball Mania. So I love how we're continuing to push the envelope, continue to push and break what we might perceive as the limits of what's possible in fantasy football and Best Ball Mania, and draft a team like this. So we have 2 more rounds to go at 202 and 207. We do currently only have 2 running backs, so we are going to finish this team off with 2 more running backs and shut it down at wideout and quarterback, obviously. So who those running backs are going to be is definitely up in the air right now, but we obviously want to continue with the strategy that we've thought about in this team and just going for maximum upside and ability. And to me, that looks a lot like a couple players that I have in mind, guys, but just doing my due diligence to see here if there's anyone that we have not thought about that could truly shift the course of this team. Okay. All right. Marshawn Lloyd is gone. He would have been a nice Packers stack for this team, but I don't think he will ever have the 3-down ability that is required to be a league winner at running back. All right, guys. I think I have in mind who we want to select here with our final 2 picks. It's not Alvin Kamara. It's not Nick Singleton. It's not any of these guys. I don't believe any of these guys have 3-down ability if given the starting running back position. But who I do believe has that is Kimani Vidal, a guy who showed that last year in his opportunities to start, where he posted 4 20-plus point fantasy games last year as the starting running back for the LA Chargers. When they had a horrible offensive line with no Joe Alt or Rashawn Slater, obviously no Mike McDaniels. Now those 3 guys are back. This offensive line is going to be elite. Mike McDaniels is one of the best run game coordinators in the entire NFL. Kimani Vidal is simply just a better football player than Keaton Mitchell. I think he might be a better running back than Marion Hampton. And I do believe Kimani Vidal is one of the skeleton key players in Best Ball Mania 7. I do believe that. And so with our last pick, we're going to take my favorite running back in the 2026 NFL Draft, Adam Randall, with the final pick on this team, who I believe has true league-winning, game-breaking upside, as I believe with Antonio Gibson a couple years back. And Adam Randall is essentially the more refined, mature version of Antonio Gibson. At 6'3", 232, runs a 4.5, hands selected by the Ravens owner. Declan Doyle is an elite offensive creator and coordinator. He schemes his best players open in space. Reports are in camp that running backs are going to be heavily utilized in the passing game because the Ravens have no receivers outside of Zay Flowers. And given that Adam Randall, guys, was a 5-star wide receiver coming out of high school, he is going to be heavily utilized in the passing game through screens and out of the backfield. I think in pony formations with Derrick Henry and Adam Randall, 2 6'3", 235-pound running backs in the backfield at the same time with Lamar Jackson. How do you defend against that, where one is the best rusher of all time and Adam Randall is probably the best receiving running back at 6'3", 230 in NFL history, being a former 5-star wideout? I think Adam Randall has tremendous upside in a standalone role. And if anything were to happen to Derrick Henry, or Derrick Henry got traded, Adam Randall is going to be a league winner with his 3-down ability, with his maturity. I just believe in Adam Randall as a player, as a person, and I believe in the Ravens. I just believe in the Ravens organization. So very happy to select him with our last pick. And there you have it, guys. One of the most fun teams ever drafted in BBM 7, with a Jordan Love double stacked with Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft, Fernando Mendoza double stacked with Jalen Naylor and Brock Bowers. We go Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor. We go Shakir Gadsden, Kimani Vidal, Quentin Johnston. We go Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. And in between there, we go Coker, A.D. Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, 3 of my favorite receivers in the NFL. And yeah, guys, I mean, and Corum as well, one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. Corum and Vidal and Randall are my 3 favorite running backs in the NFL. So just super fun build, 2-4-7-5 build, guys. Probably the highest projected tight end room out of the 700,000 plus entries in Best Ball Mania 7. I don't care about projection, but I do believe this is the best tight end room possible in BBM 7. And to be able to build a receiving core this strong with Burden, Watson, and QJ, 3 receivers who I do believe are going to be the number 1 option, number 1 receivers on their own team, on very good offenses. Coker, who I just believe is a very, very damn good football player. Jalen Naylor, a great football player now as the wide receiver 1 for the Raiders. A.D. Mitchell, we talked about being on that Davonte Adams career arc. Super talented player in the best environment of his career now. And then Brandon Ayuk, guys, my favorite receiver in the NFL the last couple of years. Now in the best offensive environment with Jaden Daniels, with no target competition outside of Terry McLaurin. I do believe Brandon Ayuk is going to be a massive league winner this year. It's just super fortunate to be able to get him on this team as well. We talked about Vidal, Randall, Corum, Taylor. Like I said, we talked about these quarterbacks peaking at the right time for this team to be able to get us through to the #1 overall team in BBM 7. With Love and Mendoza being just super underrated players in and of their own right, and I just think they're very underrated. With both really good players and good dudes. So yeah, guys, this is the team. We're continuing to build upon our belief on the tight end meta taking over the National Football League, and we pushed that to its absolute limit, going 5 elite tight ends. I do believe all 5 of these tight ends are elite, with Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Kraft, and Gadsden. I do believe all 5 of these tight ends have 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in their range of outcomes this year. I do believe this receiving core is extremely elite, to be quite honest. I will use that word elite, with Burden, Watson, QJ, Coker, Naylor, Mitchell, and Ayuk. And I do believe this running back room, guys, is super strong as well, with one of the best running backs in the National Football League, one of the most underrated running backs that's breaking out. I think is going to have a breakout year in Blake Corum this year for the Rams. Kimani Vidal, who, like I said, one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL with what he did last year. And then Adam Randall, my favorite running back in this draft, coming out with just his unreal size, speed, and mentality. And then 2 of my favorite quarterbacks who are underpriced this year in fantasy football, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all enjoyed the strategy, enjoyed kind of the way that we allowed this board to come to us, applying the 4th pillar of creativity, the first principles of creativity, which is exploration. And we really just explored this draft, guys, and allowed this board to come to us, and really pushed and shifted that energy and kind of flowed with it, and followed the energy, if you will,